Hey guys, Stay Patient here. Now this week when we reviewed the US weekly sales on the PSN store, we pointed out that they were just dreadful, and a lot of you mentioned that that could be a sign that a flash sale is on its way, which is the case. Obviously this weekend we've got a flash sale, so they were kind of holding off on putting any decent offers up throughout the week. So we're going to take a look now at this sale that's only on for a few days. In fact, it said there it's going to last until the 17th, so we've only got a couple of days left. So in the interest of getting this video up nice and quickly, I researched the PS4 section, but for the PS3 and Vita sections, I'm just going to kind of dive in and tell you what I know about the games without spending too long researching them, because obviously the longer I take, then the later this video will be and the less time you'll have to be able to look at the sale and compare it to what I've said. So I'm not sure if this is as good as the Easter sale on the European stores, but it's a massive improvement over the weekly deals that we looked at on Wednesday. So we have The Last of Us Remastered for $8. This is an absolute steal. This is an amazing game. Everyone knows that. It's a sort of average to hard platinum. I didn't find it too hard at all, to be honest. There are some exploits you can use if you need to, but you know, just forget trophies, just play it. You have to play this game. The same with Uncharted, really. The trilogy is great. I actually prefer the trilogy to Uncharted 4. I know that's a controversial opinion, but $8 for each of these, especially considering the fact you're getting 3 games here, that's absolutely insane. Again, there are some exploits you can use to make the crushing playthroughs easier for Uncharted 1 and 3, I believe. Now, Uncharted 2 was patched, and the other 2 might have been patched since I last played them, so you will want to research that. Don't take my word for it. But, you know, there were some exploits that you could use to make crushing easier, and that was available on Uncharted 2 as well if you've got the retail edition, because you can delete the patch. But either way, if you're downloading the game, you want to just double check that. But to be honest, you know, they're not that difficult to get through on crushing legit anyway. There are some challenging sections, but you know, what fun is trophy hunting if you're not going to play some challenging games as well? And these aren't anywhere near as hard as a lot of the games that I recommend as well. So I definitely recommend picking both these up. I mean, what is it, $16 for 4 of the best games on PlayStation ever? It's just, that's amazing. Oh, and it is worth mentioning that for The Last of Us, if you've done it on PS3, you'll remember the really annoying DLC trophies for the online mode. They've been changed and they're so much easier now. You don't have to get into a boosting session for them. You just earn them pretty much naturally as you're playing through. Dishonored is a great game as well. This comes with all the DLC for $6. That's a steal. If you're a 100% chaser, then you might want to be careful with some of the DLC, which is a lot tougher than the Platinum. The Plat itself is fairly straightforward and it's really enjoyable as well. It also doesn't take too long. It's about 15 hours. So if you haven't got a lot of time, if you work full time and you're looking for a great AAA game that you can get done, you know, within a week or something on your evenings, then this is definitely worth checking out. It's a really cool game. Game of the year 2012, if I remember correctly. We have the Wolfenstein games here. So we've got the New Order and the Old Blood. The Old Blood is the tougher of the 2 Platinums, but neither of them are that hard. This one's got some challenges that might take you a few tries. Both of them have a bit of a glitch where you can complete the game on Uber by simply completing the last level. And this one has a bit of a glitch spot during the final boss, so you can make that easier as well. So even when you're doing the last level on Uber, you can sort of hide away. It's not 100% reliable, you do still need a bit of skill, but it does make things easier. And the New Order isn't too tough, you know, it will take you a bit of time getting through the last level on Uber, but, you know, as long as you play it safe, then you should be fine. They're both really good games though, really good shooters in the kind of old school style. Great graphics, but kind of old school guns blazing style of gameplay. We've got Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. This is a great game, but it's got really annoying online trophies, as many of you will know, so just be wary of that. You will need to find some people to boost with, I think. I'm sure the online servers are still open, but no one's playing it, so you will need to boost a lot of the online trophies, and you'll need to spend quite a long time, probably like 15 hours, probably boosting XP on your own. There is a boosting method that you can use where you're just playing against no one. There's no one on your team, no one on their team. It's extremely tedious. So you'll probably give up unless you're a hardcore sort of platinum or 100% chaser. But it's a great game nonetheless. You know, the single player is great, so I definitely recommend it. $7.49, that's a pretty good price. The BioShock collection, obviously 3 excellent games. If you haven't played them on PS3, definitely worth playing now, and the trophies are a bit more forgiving on PS4. Obviously BioShock 2 had a really annoying online mode, which was fun to play, but if you were going for trophies, it was just a bit of a pain having to play it for a certain amount of time. But now they've done away with that, so that's a lot better. And yeah, I mean, they're just awesome. Everyone knows how great Bioshock is. If you don't, then that's probably because you haven't played it. And that means that you definitely want to go out and grab the collection. $30. It's probably going to drop down below that fairly soon, but it's definitely a worthwhile purchase. Psychonauts, I think, is a relatively easy plat, but it's really clunky, so I don't recommend playing it. I haven't played it myself, but based on the feedback and the reviews and everything, it's a game that was really good on PS2, but the port hasn't been done very well. So the jumping's really annoying. Like the hardest thing about the platinum is just playing the game and getting around the bad mechanics and everything. We've got some of the Dark Cloud, both Dark Cloud games here. They're sort of big, long RPGs with building elements. They look really cool. I haven't actually played them yet. I really wanted to play them on PS2 and I kept putting them off. And even now I've bought them, but I haven't had a chance to play them yet. But they look cool, obviously. They've probably aged a bit now, but a bit like Zelda maybe, but with like a building element, almost like Rainbow Moon style or Stardew Valley, that kind of thing. Looks pretty cool. Looks like a lot of fun. We've got Grim Fandango. Most of you got that because it was free on PS Plus a couple of years ago, I think, maybe 2014. But if you haven't got it yet, $2.99 is a good price. It's an easy platinum. It's a point-and-click adventure, of course. It's a bit longer than some of them that I do guides for on the channel. It's going to take several hours, maybe up to around 10 hours even. But, it is a fun game. Obviously, Tim Schafer's games are always really weird and kooky and memorable. So it's got a good level of humour to it. We have the Metro Redux collection. Both games are both nice, easy platinums, and they're both enjoyable as well. Pretty quick too, about 15 hours a piece. We've got Wild Arms 3 as quite a long RPG. Deadpool's probably a bit harder than you might imagine, based on the fact that it's a movie tie-in, and quite often they're pretty easy, but it's also better than you might think as well. I've heard good things about it. It's like average difficulty when it comes to trophies, so it's not hard. It's just, not a trophy, not a platinum that you can sleepwalk through like a lot of the movie tie-ins. Guacamelee is awesome. I really love this game. Some of the DLC offers a bit of a challenge, but I mean, there's nothing massively difficult about it. There are some difficult challenges or different sort of platforming areas you need to get through to collect the diamonds or whatever they are. I forget what they're called, but there are some tricky sections, definitely, but I do recommend playing it. It's just really fun. We've got Prototype. This is the Biohazard bundle, so this is both games. I think that's quite expensive considering the fact that they're old games now, and they've even been on PS4 for a while. It's worth pointing out that I think the first one's a tough platinum and the second one's an easy one. So it's a bit of an odd kind of mirror situation there where you've got really tough on one side and really easy on the other. So if you can buy the second game for cheaper than the bundle, you might want to just pick that up. You might want to challenge yourself to go for the platinum on the first game as well, but that's really up to you. We've got some of the Dead Rising games. I think there's a triple pack in a moment. So yes, there's a triple pack. That is, what is it? Let's see, Dead Rising 2 and Off the Record. I haven't actually played any of them through. I started one of them and it just really annoyed me that there was like a time limitation or time restriction mechanic where you had to get medication for your daughter and you had to do that once a day, and there was like ongoing, the time was constantly passing. So for me, that kind of took away from the idea of just having a big open sandbox to play around with. It's the kind of game that you just want to mess around in and find like crazy weapons and just hack up zombies and stuff. But you're kind of held back from doing that, because of the time restrictions. I don't know, a lot of people played them and a lot of people love them, so that's really up to you. We've got the Resident Evil triple pack as well. There's Back to the Future, the Telltale game. Obviously, I've mentioned this before, but it's not one of those games where you just need to complete it to get all the trophies. There are missable trophies, so there's a lot of things you need to do on the way through. But there's a great guide on PlayStationTrophies.org if you are looking to just get another easy platinum on your account. It's quite enjoyable as well. Obviously, with the normal Telltale games, they're fun to play because you're just having to complete them, so you can play them however you like. But with these older ones, the fact that you're restricted by the missable trophies does kind of take away some of the enjoyment. Unless you go in, with the trophies in the back of your mind, but don't follow a guide and then maybe go back and use sort of episode select, go back to the episodes that you still have trophies to earn in, but obviously it's going to take longer that way. It's going to take about 10 hours if you do follow a guide, maybe a touch longer, I'm not sure. But $5.99, it's really one of those games that you're either going to play if you really enjoy solving puzzles in a point-and-click adventure, or if you're looking to follow a guide and get another easy plat. But it's not as quick as some of the other games, so, that's really up to you. Okage, I think that's how you pronounce it, or Okage? I don't know. This one here, Shadow King. This was actually new to me. This is apparently a PS2 game, and it's been sort of re-released on PS4, which means it must have been popular at the time. I watched some gameplay, and it's like a very old school sort of top-down RPG, but sometimes those are really fun, going back to the basics. It's given a 3 out of 10 in difficulty, and it's not too long. If I remember correctly, it's like 25 to 40 hours based on the trophy guide, and the voting thread sort of agrees with that. But a lot of it's based on luck. There must be sort of random drops or something, some RNG elements. So that's probably why the completion time is sort of got a low minimum and a high maximum, 25 to 40 hours. It might take you a while grinding at the end if you're trying to find those rare items or whatever it is. Risen 3 is another game I have no experience with, but this was a PS3 game that's been remastered for PS4. It's another RPG. It's obviously a kind of hack and slash one. Apparently it's not too difficult. It's like a 3 out of 10 according to the trophy guide, but it's quite long. So it's going to be sort of around 40 or 50 hours, I think. Ark the Lad is another RPG. I think this was a PS1 game that's been re-released or redone. Again, this is another game I've never played, so I can't speak from experience, but just based on the feedback on the trophy forums, it looks to be a long game, a long platinum, around maybe 50, 60, 70 odd hours, but it's not too difficult. Again, I can't speak from experience, so you might want to do your own research on that, but there you go. We've got Day of the Tentacle. Most of you already have this because it was free a couple of months ago, but if you forgot to download it, then now would be the time to do so. Obviously, there's a guide on my channel. You can get through this in, I think it was 2 hours. I think the guide was, a little under 2 hours. We have got Strider. This is a great game. A lot of people struggle with it because of the bosses and stuff, and you do have to play it on the hardest difficulty, and there's also a speedrun trophy, but it's only given a 3 or 4 out of 10 in difficulty, and I think I agree with that. It's not really a tough one when you look back on it. It's quite quick as well. It can be done, it can technically be done in like 5 to 8 hours, but that depends how you approach it, and if it's your first time through, then you're probably going to take closer to like maybe 12, but it depends on how many playthroughs you do it in. If you try and combine the hard mode playthrough with the speed run, or you try and combine all the collectibles with the hard mode or whatever, just doing 1 or 2 playthroughs, and it can be pretty quick. But I really enjoyed it. It's a Metroidvania style 2D hack and slash game, and the handling in it is really good. It's really fast paced. It's really sort of responsive. The mechanics and the controls are great, so I definitely recommend it. Zombie was another game that most of us already owned because it was free. I think it's a fairly simple platinum, but not like I say, it's not a sleepwalk platinum. That's how I refer to the ones that you can just literally shut your brain off for. We got Thomas Was Alone. This was so much fun. This is an easy 100%. There's no plat, but I totally recommend playing it because it's just really well made. It's such a basic premise. It's such a simple gameplay idea. But what makes it so cool is the narration. It kind of brings these blocks to life. You're playing as all these different squares, different shapes and sizes that all have different properties, and you can use them together to make your way through levels. And if it was just that, it would be kind of interesting, but it would get old really quick. But because this narrator is bringing all of these blocks to life, he gives them all names, and they're all like characters with their own personalities, and there's like character development, and it's all to do with their relationships with one another. It's so weird, but it's really, really cool. Definitely play it. $149 it's probably worth playing on VITA actually. If it's the same price on VITA, then I'd pick it up on VITA. I think it only has 1 trophy set, but it's probably best for VITA. It's the kind of game that is great to play a little bit in bed just before you fall asleep. We've also got Valley here. This is apparently a fairly straightforward platinum. There aren't many guides up for it, and I was thinking about making one myself. It's kind of one that I've been toying with the idea of putting a guide together for a while, because there's all these collectibles you need to grab. It's an interesting looking game though. It's very different to anything else. You're kind of using this suit to jump through forests and stuff, jumping from platform to platform. It's probably not an amazing game, but for me, when a game like this has an easy and fairly quick platinum, I think to myself, you know what, this is a good excuse to play something totally different, totally out of my comfort zone, something that I wouldn't give a second look to if I was only playing the games that caught my eye. And I usually end up enjoying them just because they're so different, and it does look enjoyable. It's not a terrible game. It's not one of those really awful games with easy plats like Albedo or whatever. We've got, there's Prototype 2, $15. The double pack was $20, wasn't it? So that's the easier of the 2 platinums, but it's probably worth buying both, to be honest. It's only a few dollars more. We've got two games here, The Mark of Kree and Primal, that both apparently have cheats you can use to make the trophies a lot quicker and a lot easier. So we're not going to go into the exact completion times and stuff, but they're both games that were given like a 1 out of 10 if you use cheats, and I think they're around maybe 10 hours or something. I forget which was which. They're both slightly different. But if you take a look at them in your own time, just in the interest of not making this video too long, like I say, The Mark of Kree and Primal, I'm going to have a look at them just because of the fact that there are some cheats available, and obviously I spend most of my time playing hard games. I really do. And a lot of people assume that I'm the kind of person who just plays easy games. I'm absolutely not whatsoever. But I do like picking up these games. Obviously, because I run a trophy service, it's nice for me to be able to have games that I can offer for a nice cheap price because they're easy to fly through with cheats and things like that. So I do pick them up, and occasionally I get a chance to play them on my account as well. I think with the Hasbro games, it's always difficult to find the trophy sets for them on the trophy websites, but I think that's because quite often they're a combination of lots of smaller games. So I haven't had a chance to look at all these, but I'm guessing that at least some of them are going to be pretty straightforward. But I think most of them don't have platinums from my memory. I think I have checked these out before, Trivial Pursuit and Risk and stuff. I don't think there's many platinums here, if any, but it might be worth having a look at because you're getting a bunch of games, and I think each one has its own trophy set. I did forget to mention actually at the top of the screen here, we've got Cell Damage HD. You'll notice this is the PS4 version, which it's kind of odd because this, I think it gives you the PS4, PS3 and Vita versions. Yes, it entitles you to all three, but then they've also got the PS3 version down here, which again entitles you to all three. So $249, they're both the same price, so I guess, there's no point in buying both, obviously. But this is an easy 100%. You can earn the trophies on PS3 and Vita, which is combined. That's one trophy set. And then the Vita has a separate trophy set. So there's two sets of trophies available. And you get access to both of them because it's cross-buy. But there's no plat. It is really quick and easy, though. It's like 2 hours maybe. And there's no difficulty whatsoever, to be honest. Dead Synchronicity is a game that I know a lot of you have been waiting for a sale on because it's always been quite expensive. This is actually a very good game. I'm not going to say it's fun because it's very dark. The subject matter and the story and everything is really dark. It's all about concentration camps, so you can imagine it's quite a dark theme. But it's really well made, the story is good, and there is a guide for it on my channel if you do want to follow the guide. Obviously you can still listen to all the dialogue and hear the story play out, but it just makes sure that you can earn all the missable trophies on the way through. And I was able to earn it in less than an hour, so obviously it's going to be slightly longer for you if you're following the guide at the same time. But it's not going to be much longer, like 1 to 2 hours is reasonable. So $10 is still quite a bit of money to pay for a game like this, but it's half price, and I know a lot of you have been waiting for the sale, so it might be something that many of you will be jumping on this week. This War of Mine, of course, was free not that long ago, so most of you probably got it. I've not played it myself yet. I think it's a doable platinum. If I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've researched that, but let's crack on to the final page here. This is the last page of PS4 games, at least, and the only ones really that are worth pointing out here. Oh, we've got Cell Damage HD again. That's very odd. We've got Nero, which is good timing because I've literally just fairly recently put up a guide for this. This is around a 2-hour platinum. Obviously my guide's just over an hour long, but that's because I've sped some stuff up. But it will take you around 2 hours, maybe 3 if you're following the guide. But this is definitely another easy platinum. You can really sort of breeze through that one. And everything else on this page is just sort of fiddly little bits and pieces. I don't think there's many platinums on this page. So we're going to kind of move on just for the sake of time. And like I mentioned, we're going to just take a brief look at the PS3 and Vita part of the sale. And we're just going to check how many pages there are here. Oh, there's only 2. That's good. So we're just going to fly through this and give you my thoughts on the games that I have played, because, I wanted to get this video up sooner rather than later. Okami here is a game that reviewed incredibly well, and it's another one that I've not had a chance to play yet, but it's definitely worth checking out. And I think the trophies are fairly straightforward if I remember correctly. It's been a while, but I think they're at least doable. We've got Assassin's Creed Liberation and Freedom Cry. Now, Liberation is a nice, fairly easy and relatively quick platinum compared to all the other Assassin's Creed games. It's probably the quickest one, actually. And it's, obviously it's a version of the Vita game that was on the handheld originally, but they have removed a lot of the farmy, grindy trophies from the Vita version. A lot of the trophies that made it a bit of a pain to platinum. It was still easy enough, but there were some annoying trophies. They've taken all those out. That's really good news. So it's actually quite a nice game to play now on PS3. Obviously, probably dumbed down a bit compared to the Assassin's Creeds that you're used to because of the fact that it was on Vita first. You're also getting Freedom Cry, which was a DLC for Black Flag, but then it was also released as a separate standalone title. So it doesn't have a platinum, but it's got a 100% trophy set, and it's quite fun as well. It's all about slavery and stuff. We've got the New Order. This does have a separate trophy set on PS3, so if you've done it on PS4, you can do it again and double up on the platinum. In fact, you can triple up on it because you can play the German version on PS4 as well, and that's got a separate stacking trophy list. Beyond Good and Evil is supposed to be a good game, but doesn't have a platinum. Nice cheap price though, at $1.99. This is awesome. Deus Ex not Mankind Divided, Human Revolution. This is the PS3 Deus Ex game. And this is the director's cut. We've mentioned this before, but this has a separate platinum to the normal version. This comes with the DLC. There's only one DLC pack, and it's fun to play. It's a great game. Like I say, you can double up on the plat, so if you play the original version and then play the director's cut, you can get 2 platinums for it. I definitely recommend it. $7.49, that's a good price, considering the fact that you're getting the downloadable content too. We've got some of the Dead Island stuff here. I think that was available on PS4 as well, wasn't it? Dishonored, obviously you can stack this with the PS4 version if you like. $2.99. It's a cheaper way of playing the game if you're strapped for cash. But at the same time, the same thing applies as with the PS4 version, where there is DLC that's quite tough. Obviously, this doesn't come with the DLC. We have got Killzone HD. This is an easy platinum. If I remember correctly, there are some cheats or something available. It's been a long time since I platted it. It is quite long-winded though. I mean, it's not exactly long-winded, but it's annoying because you have to play through the game several times, or at least parts of the game, because you have to basically complete it with all of the characters, and some of the characters don't become available until partway through the game, so you have to play from there to the end with each new character. But it's really easy. If I remember correctly, it's probably like 30 hours or something. It gets a bit tedious by the end, and it's not as good as the PS3 Killzone games. Obviously, this was a PS2 game that was re-released on PS3, but I just thought I'd mention it. Obviously, Hitman Absolution. This was a kind of fun game. I found it a bit annoying, but you can follow a guide. Obviously, you've got all these different ways of completing each level, and it is quite interesting trying to figure them out on your own. But a lot of them seem quite convoluted or quite kind of obscure, so you kind of wouldn't stumble across them unless you spent hours and hours and hours playing every single level. It's not a hard platinum though. There are some online bits and pieces, but I think that's mostly stuff that doesn't require other people. We have got the Hitman trilogy. I think 1 or 2 of these are easier than the other one. I think there's maybe one that's a bit tougher, but that is 3 platinums in one pack, so you might want to check that out. And then we've got Cell Damage again. Hitman games individually. We've got some Prince of Persia stuff. Some of the kind of twin stick shooters there. Thomas Was Alone again. Wipeout HD, obviously that's super difficult. What have we got here? Machinarium is a nice, easy sort of point and click adventure, no platinum, but a nice, straightforward and fairly quick 100% trophy list. There weren't as many really quick platinums back on the PS3. Another World, I think we mentioned this, is like really clunky to play apparently. Under Defeat, this is a fairly easy platinum. There are some cheats you can use. If you leave the game on idle, if you play it for, I think, 8 hours, then you unlock all the cheats, because the longer you play, the more cheats you unlock. And you can have, it's not cheats, it's lives. So you can unlock infinite lives, basically, which makes everything a lot easier. There are a couple of trophies that are easier if you have a second player. So, for instance, amassing a certain number of bombs, I think. It's a little bit fiddly. You might need a friend to help you, or, if you're good with like switching between controllers or whatever. But yeah, it is an easy platinum. It's only going to take you about 15 hours, and most of that time is just idle. You can leave it on overnight to unlock all the extra credits. We've got Oddworld Munch's Odyssey. This has been in my download list for so long, and I keep meaning to play it. It looks quite cool, like a base, a typical platformer from the PS3 era. Let's have a look here. That's basically everything we're going to look at for the PS3 list. Let's have a quick look at Vita. I'm sure, with the only 2 pages on... Where are we? Oh, I'm sorry, I went too far. No, I didn't. There we go. Vita, yeah, there's only 2 pages on PS3, so there's probably only 1 or 2 pages on Vita as well. In fact, yeah, there's only 1. I think most of these are going to be PS1 classics that don't have trophies. Let's see here. Yeah, that's the case with most of them. Grim Fandango is a shared trophy list. It doesn't stack, so if you've already got it on PS4, no point in buying it again. Stranger's Wrath is kind of cool. I've played a bit of that, but I didn't get very far, and I keep meaning to go back to it, but it will probably never happen at this point, to be honest. But it's kind of cool. You know, it's one of the Oddworld games. They're always kind of kooky and interesting. We have got Munch's Odyssey again. I think that's a shared trophy list with the PS3 version. Thomas Was Alone. Oh yeah, so that is on offer on Vita as well. So if you're going to buy it, I do recommend buying it on Vita. It just makes more sense that way. Machinarium here, which you mentioned before. This does have a separate trophy list on PS3, PS4 and Vita, so you can earn the trophies 3 times. There's no platinum, so it's still only going to result in about probably 900 trophy points. But, you know, if you did want to stack it up, is always an option. And finally, Rockboshers, which we did actually see in the PS4 and PS3 sales. I've literally just now checked it. I've edited it out, obviously. But this is a easy 100% trophy set that's going to take like 3 or 4 hours, according to the guide. It's a shared trophy list across PS4, PS3 and Vita, so you can buy any of the 3 versions and earn the trophies, but don't go buying it twice because you can't stack them. But there we go, guys. That's everything from the flash sale on the US store. So hopefully this has kind of appeased those of you who are really cheesed off with the terrible sale that was put on Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever it was. This is much better. I'm sure there's lots of stuff you can pick up. And there are also lots of games on sale that I have guides for on the channel. So hopefully you guys will find those useful. But in the meantime, sorry for the long video, but there was a lot to cover. So I look forward to catching you for the trophy update on Monday, and maybe for another video before then. I don't usually upload over the weekend. Obviously this is different with the flash sale, but I might be uploading a guide for live log, so keep your eye out for that as well. But thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you very soon. Cheers.